Hi everyone. I have a short video for you to tell you what's going on in the Middle East, and I'd like you to listen to it and then come up to your own conclusion of what this all means. In the Bible, Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, it says this: "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but then the end is still to come. However, some say that wars, plagues, and natural disasters are not necessarily the signs of the end of days, but rather a result of the world being under the curse of sin." Now, in my opinion, both of these things are true. It is a result of sin and the curse of sin. But all of this is happening because of the curse of sin, and especially during the end times, more so than any other time. When we look at Matthew chapter 24, we need to understand Jesus is speaking to the Jews here. He's speaking to Israel. The end he is speaking of is not the rapture, when the Christians will be called up, those who trust Jesus Christ as their Savior and Lord today, but the end of the tribulation, the time when the great tribulation comes to an end and the battle of Armageddon takes place and all these terrible, terrible catastrophes happen. All of the things he is describing will happen during the tribulation. However, what the Christians, us today, need to understand is we are beginning to see these things happen. Our redemption is drawing near. This is what Jesus said in Luke 21, verse 28. "And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near." In other words, the time is getting close that the Lord will take the Christians from the earth in something that we call the rapture. He is still speaking to Israel, but it is from a different perspective in that verse. He says, "And when these things begin to come to pass," what things? Wars and rumors of wars, deception, and other things. "For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." These things are what we call birth pains. What happens when a woman has birth pains? She gets uncomfortable, but soon things become very painful. And then the end, or the birth, comes, which is actually a new beginning. We look at Israel, and what is happening there? Do you see wars and rumors of wars taking place in the Middle East? Here are some headlines from the Middle East news today. As fighting rages, displaced Gazans struggle with disease and lack of shelter. And Jesus said in Matthew 24, "Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in various places." All of these things are the beginning of birth pains. That should grab our attention. Here's another headline. Turkish official accuses Israel of targeting Erdogan after he seemed to threaten to invade Gaza. So Turkey is one of the nations from Ezekiel chapter 38, which we call the War of Gog and Magog, that will join this great, big, giant coalition that comes against Israel. Beth Togarmah was the name given to it before modern-day Turkey. Here's another headline. Heat wave forces Iran to shutter the government offices and banks. Electricity consumption soars. Again, there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All of these things are the beginning of birth pains. I don't call this climate change. I call this God's warning to us that the end is near. Erdogan says Turkey might enter Israel to help the Palestinians. Well, the Palestinians are those who are in Gaza right now. They call themselves the Palestinians, but there is no official people group called Palestinians. Here's another headline. IDF strikes deep within Lebanon after the Golan Heights attack. So Hezbollah tried to attack Israel, but their bomb landed in the area that was the Druze community. This is important to understand. They're a Lebanese people group, the Druze. In other words, they killed their own people. Their intent was to kill Israeli citizens, but it didn't work. Now, how Iran plans to destroy Israel. That's another headline. The Israel-Hamas war is a prelude to future Iranian aggression in the Middle East. Iranian military leaders are explicitly drawing lessons from the war to develop concepts for fighting and destroying Israel. Their charter states that they will wipe Israel off the map and Israel will be remembered no more. Senior Iranian officials are arguing that the war has revealed critical Israeli vulnerabilities that they can exploit. They are specifically examining ways to use proxy forces and terror to establish the Israeli state and Israeli society, to destabilize the Israeli state and Israeli society. Iran is sharpening these concepts because it is increasingly confident that the axis of resistance, the collection of Iranian-backed partners and proxies, including Hamas, across the region, is winning the current war against Israel and could fight and win in the larger war too. I don't believe that they are winning this war, as we see Gaza is basically decimated. Their goal is to eliminate Hamas before anything can be settled in the Gaza Strip. But the Gazan people are all pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, and it is unlikely that they are going to change. Now, what does Ezekiel say? Ezekiel is an Old Testament prophet who the Lord gave the prophecy of what we call Gog and Magog. Here's what he says. Ezekiel is describing a war called Gog and Magog. This is a major battle that will take place against Israel, led by Russia. Here's what Ezekiel says. Persia, which was the former name of Iran, Ethiopia and Libya will be with them. All of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, that would be Russia in the Bible times, and all his bands, the house of Togarma, Turkey, of the north quarters, and all of his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So all of these nations surround Israel. The only one that isn't immediately close to Israel is Russia, but it's directly north of Israel. And actually, it's directly north of Jerusalem. And any Bible prophecy that you hear, if they talk from the north or the south or the east or the west, it is in relationship to Jerusalem. All of these nations surround Israel and are already involved in the conflict that is taking place with Israel. Iran, or formerly known as Persia, is funding the supplying the weapons and bombs to those who are attacking Israel at this time. Russia and Iran are colluding to plan when they will jump in and officially become part of the war. When you see Russia and Iran actually attacking, be sure you are ready, meaning have accepted Christ as your Savior. I wouldn't wait. I would do it now if you haven't. But when you see these things take place, like Jesus said, your redemption draws near. Now, if you're not saved, if you're not a Christian, you won't be redeemed. But if you are saved and you are a Christian, you will be, and you'll be caught up to be in heaven with the Lord. Okay, here's another, some more recent headlines from July 2024. The uncomfortable reality of Russia and Iran's new defense relationship. So we see now Russia and Iran forming this coalition, and these will be the two most major players in the war of Ezekiel 38 that we just spoke of, called Gog and Magog. Russia stresses strong ties with Iran as Putin calls interim president. Remember, Raisi was just killed, and so Russia called Iran to make sure that they still are going to maintain this relationship between Russia and Iran. And then another headline here: Russia benefits from the continued but calibrated Iran-Israeli hostilities. I will cut this short, but I could keep on going on and on and on, and we'll cover this more in the future. But this is just to alert you to what's happening today, right now, in the country of Israel and throughout the Middle East. I want you to see the Bible prophecies that are unfolding before our eyes and hopefully help you consider what this means, not just to Israel in the Middle East, but to each person who hears this. Remember what Jesus said earlier. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. God bless you.